Hello, everyone. This is your host, Neil. Welcome to this IoT Tech Talk on building next-gen consumer products with AWS IoT Edge Services. Hope all of you and your family are in good health, and I really appreciate you taking time out for this. Now you are here, I assume you are connected with consumer products, IoT, Edge services in some way. Either you are a manufacturer, supplier, OEM, partner, or a developer who wants to build solutions for end consumers. So this session is perfect for you as you will learn how using AWS IoT services, you can build the next cool consumer product. So what's in the menu today? We'll start with a quick refresher of use cases, common challenges in the consumer segment. Then we'll discuss how different IoT Edge services such as FreeRTOS or Greengrass helps address those. We'll touch upon what these services can do at a higher level, what's new for this year, and a reference architecture to help you understand how the dots connect together. And then I will invite a very special guest, Aaron Schramm, CTO of Eden. We'll discuss different challenges they faced, design patterns they adopted in their journey to build a smart garden solution, which looks awesome, by the way, and we'll give you a pick, I promise. Sounds exciting? Let's get rolling. At AWS, we see customers solving a diverse set of use cases with connected consumer products. Home automation. This is really the bread and butter of our life these days. Echo devices, smart TVs, smart speakers, smart vacuum cleaners that can work alone or with hubs for an integrated smart home experience. Think of customers like Vizio and iRobot who have built their solutions using AWS IoT services. Security and monitoring, devices like door locks, security cameras that can use machine learning to automatically detect threats, take action, send alerts to homeowners. Think of customers like Wise, who build their entire IoT infrastructure on AWS and now have scaled to millions of devices worldwide. Networking, how many times you have spent hours on the phone to fix your Wi-Fi? Network operators are building new ways to help customers quickly discover, troubleshoot, and fix home network issues with smart set-top boxes. Energy management. There is more to energy management than just smart thermostats and HVAC systems. Think of a scenario where you are sipping a margarita on a beach in Florida and you get notified of a water leak in bathroom, and you can remotely turn off the water valve to save on usage, so you don't have to deal with that mess and more cost once you are back. Health and wellness. The home has expanded to be our place of nirvana, a family place, a workplace, and a gym place. Think of Peloton bikes, which is built using AWS IoT services to keep us healthier without ever having to leave our homes. And while working with all these customers, we realized some common challenges, such as how do you extract value from IoT? Because clearly no one wants to buy a different technology. They have a lot. So for customers new to IoT and who haven't connected their products to the cloud, it can be challenging. How do you leverage the edge and the cloud to improve your bottom line or top line? Managing and scaling large fleets, it's almost always the biggest concern for customers who expect to see large increases in connected fleet sizes. How do I go from 100 devices to millions of devices without worrying about the underlying infrastructure? Security, how do you keep your devices secure, data protected from the prying eyes? AWS believes in a shared responsibility model to keep the devices and your customers' data and ours as well secure from threats. Customer experience, machines are machines, things go wrong. Our CTO often says technology fails all the time. So devices need to be updated with new features, fixes, and remotely probably. So how do you get a head start on customer needs by knowing the state of all the devices on the field before your customer even calls you? And that's where we had been working relentlessly hard from our lessons learned to evolve the ecosystem of AWS IoT services. We have different services at the edge layer, the connectivity and the control layer, and the analytics layer. And so in today's session, we are going to discuss around two edge services or device softwares, namely FreeRTOS, which is for microcontroller grade devices, and Greengrass, which is for microprocessor grade devices. Let's start with FreeRTOS. FreeRTOS continues to be the most popular operating systems for embedded devices, with 35% market segment share and 4 times the next best RTOS, Zephyr. It's free, it's open source, it supports RISC, ARM, and many other architectures. How cool is that? AWS had the honor to hire Richard Barry, who invented FreeRTOS. Richard is super invested in building different capabilities that you, our customers, are asking for. FreeRTOS includes the FreeRTOS kernel, software libraries that makes it easy to securely connect your small, low-power embedded devices to more powerful edge devices and gateways running something like a Greengrass over personal area networks such as BLE, Wi-Fi, or other protocols, or to even cloud services like AWS IoT Core over protocols such as MQTT or HTTPS. FreeRTOS supports different security best practices. Remember, that's our top priority. Whether you want to do data encryption at rest or in transit over TLS 1.2, we give you the best practices and the tools to implement that and many more. But as you know, it's always day one for us at AWS. We are continuously listening to you and building new features. So what's new? FreeRTOS long-term support libraries gives embedded developers the predictability and feature stability with assurance from AWS of security updates and critical bug fixes for 2 years from release. We added cellular LTE-M capability. We added advanced OTA features to pause and resume and abort and timeout, different kind of rollouts to your fleet at scale because we understand your devices and the associated customer experience is so crucial for the business. We added new kernel with improved memory support. We had reference integrations from over 20 silicon partners to help you get to market faster. This is how the FreeRTOS architecture looks. It comprises of 4 layers. The bottom 2, hardware and vendor libraries. This is where AWS works with silicon partners directly, such as Microchip and NXP and others, to offer you qualified hardwares. Then you have the FreeRTOS layer, where we have built the kernel and other libraries. So AWS is developing these libraries for you to address the most common needs related to connectivity, messaging, command control, fleet management, security. So as an embedded developer, you just focus on the top layer, build applications that matters to your business. So let's switch gears now and talk about Greengrass. Greengrass is a device software for microprocessor-grade devices. It allows you to build a distributed architecture for the edge with a lot of intelligence, such as local messaging for telemetry, local command control, for state synchronization, local compute. So you can run Lambda, which is AWS serverless offering. You can run Docker containers. You can run any native process that your hardware can support. Local stream processing, so you can filter and transform and process your data on the edge during offline conditions where you have no connectivity, or to save your network costs and bandwidth because you might have a low-powered, low-battery device, or regulatory requirements because your data cannot leave that facility or region. With local machine learning inferencing, you can train and optimize your model on the cloud using different frameworks like MXNet and PyTorch and TensorFlow and many others. And you get all this, and finally you deploy them onto the edge over the air. How awesome is that? And you get all of these features and more adhering to the security best practices of the edge related to trusted boot, data encryption at rest or in transit, and more. And it also solves the most common use cases of IoT workloads that we have been talking about related to fleet management, over-the-air updates, out of the box. So you don't have to write any code as an embedded developer. You focus on building cool things, like use a local toolchain development for you to build a CICD pipeline that can start from your local machine to the cloud, deployed to the edge. But as you know, as I said earlier, you our customers never let us stop. You share invaluable feedbacks with us all the time. And thus, we have completely redesigned Greengrass, and we call it Greengrass 2.0. Sorry, no surprises with the name. Heart of Greengrass is a core component called Nucleus. It's written in Java, which makes the platform agnostic. Then you have AWS components like the Lambdas and Stream Manager and the Log Manager that we build for you, and you can just use it out of the box. And finally, you have the private components, which is essentially your custom logic that you can deploy on the edge using Lambda again, or Docker containers, or even native processes. In terms of protocols, we support IPC now. So we are not just limited to MQTT with Greengrass. What is beautiful is it's modular as well. You only need the nucleus to run Greengrass. After that, based on your use case, you work backwards, and rest of the capabilities such as Stream Manager, Log Manager, or Device Defender, or whatever else, you deploy only if you need, which is a huge shift from Greengrass V1. And don't tell anyone, I felt it was a bit monolithic all the time. So we have the right step ahead. The most common question I hear from Edge developers, hey, you said there is a local tool chain, but how do I develop the components again? So go back to hello world of Greengrass. What is a component? A component is a recipe and an artifact. What is a recipe? A recipe is a configuration where you put all the configuration details, and the artifact is essentially your binary, your code. So you develop locally, you test it, you use the CLI to push it to the cloud, and from there, you deploy all these components to hundreds and thousands of devices. If you used Greengrass in the past, you know that Greengrass V1 used MQTT for all pub/sub-based communication. With V2, we support IPC, as I mentioned, for the different communications to happen between the different kind of components that you can deploy on the edge. And MQTT can still be used. You can use like your local devices to communicate with the gateway, or from the gateway to the cloud. The pre-built integrations between Greengrass is getting better and better. We have a lot more integrations today with AWS services or even third-party services, because we understand that MQTT is not an option for all kinds of data. If you have to publish unstructured data such as audio, video, it makes sense for you to do probably a HTTPS post to S3 or Kinesis over sending data in chunks. I want to bring your attention to a customer, Centrica Hive. They're a leading UK smart home company. They create a family of smart products. They migrated close to 1 million devices that uses Greengrass. It lowered their operational cost and allowed them to innovate faster. So bringing everything together, what you learned so far, we talked about two different device softwares, FreeRTOS and Greengrass. FreeRTOS is a good fit for resource-constrained embedded devices running MCUs or microcontrollers, such as your light bulbs or door locks, versus Greengrass is for microprocessor-grade hardware, which has more horsepower. Please note, though, embedded devices running FreeRTOS can directly communicate to the cloud as well if needed, or it can connect to a local gateway running Greengrass using a myriad of protocols. Greengrass can even help with that protocol conversion on the edge and finally transmit the data to the cloud. This is a reference architecture that shows how you can use both these device softwares using different connectivity patterns to publish the data to the cloud. And remember, data is more valuable when it's adjacent to more data. And thus, there can be different data consumption mechanisms and personas, such as downstream application users, my business users, my fleet operators, etc. So to summarize, let us at AWS do the heavy lifting of solving the most common use cases and challenges related to onboarding, securing, and operationalizing your fleet, so you can focus on building capabilities that differentiates your business and allows you to unlock the potential of data for improving the top line or bottom line of your business. One of my data scientist friends says, data is like the new bacon. It can come in so many flavors for fulfilling your appetite. But jokes apart, the time is finally here to call our very special guest, an industry veteran, a seasoned CTO, a visionary who believes technology and sustainability goes hand in hand. Let's welcome Aaron Sharm with a warm round of applause, yes, in front of your monitor. Aaron, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Hi, Neil. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
It's, I have been waiting for this day for a long time now, and finally I have you here. So thanks for making it.
Of course.
So Aaron, tell us a bit about yourself and your company, Eden.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Aaron Schramm. I'm the CTO of a IoT startup called Eden. And what we focus on is bringing nature to our customers. And where our customers primarily are, especially given this last year, is indoors, right, during quarantine. Most of human history, we've lived our lives immersed in nature. But today, the average person is spending 90% of their lives indoors, right? Which is a really huge disconnect from the past. We really love this quote, right? It's really a genesis for some of the work we do. It's from Dr. Seuss, right? It says, "I speak for the trees have no tongues." And it's from the Lorax. If you've seen, read the book, seen the movie, for us, it's really a call to action, right? When you move plants from outdoors into indoors, right, they lose all the symbiotic relationships that they've built over time in order to advocate for their survival, right? So at Eden, we really take it as a mission to build technology that speaks for nature when it's brought indoors. Humans just bring everything we want along with us to the environments that we want, and nature is no different. So we're working hard to advocate for the plants in your home.
That's really cool. And the first time we talked last year, and I saw your vision and where you were going, like I was blown away. And as I said, like this whole vision of technology and sustainability and nature kind of going together, it essentially helps us, the humanity, in the future term as well. So awesome! Thanks for building this solution for all of us. So I know how busy you are. So we will probably use rest of the time to be on point, discussing, how you have designed this solution, what were your design constraints, what are the architectural decisions that you had to make, and how you kind of launched this product. Like, I think it's in few months, from like the inception to making it available in the retail chain. So to kick things off, can you please give us some insights, Aaron, into these areas?
Yeah, sure, of course. So we are a startup, and we are constrained by the normal things that startups are constrained by, right? We've got an extremely small team. Little secret is we were in the single digits at the time that we launched with a national retailer, which was Apple. Apple was actually our launch target last October, as well as West Elm. So some major pressure with very few resources. Small team, limited resources. Although I've been involved with Eden for a number of years, I came on full time in July as CTO. And so, July to an October launch was a extremely short amount of time to pull together everything for those caliber of launch clients. So when I came on board, we were constrained. The hardware was done, but we really had no cloud at that time. We had no app, no iOS application done, and we had just sort of started our venture into firmware. Although we had a lot of the components, we really had to try hard to stitch everything up last minute. And another thing that was really important to our executive team was that because we are so small and cost sensitive, we really wanted to focus hard on managed services. But when I say that, I want to be super clear that we did not want to focus on sort of these one-size-fits-all solutions that are pushed by some chip manufacturers. And so we saw that as somewhat limiting to the scalability of our eventual business and the growth we'd like to see. So, some really, really tough things right out of the gate to handle.
Got you. And I can probably relate a little bit to your scenario because, at AWS, we also have a startup culture, like we call it a two-pizza team. So, we have to be very frugal in terms of our resources and the cost and the timeline, but at the same time, doing the best for our customers. So that's incredible. So tell us, like, how much engineering cycles you had to kind of invest in those few months after you took up the reins of the ship, and then you built the solution end to end on the edge versus on the cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. So, full disclosure here, I am I guess, seasoned individual. I'm not sure what that means in startup world. Every one of them is very, very different. But I certainly did not come to the table with, expertise in IoT, right? And so, coming here to Eden, I worked a lot with the team to understand the strengths of AWS IoT Core. And I think for us, one of the major strengths was being able to leverage a lot of cloud expertise that we had in the team, and alongside our firmware expertise. And so we are looking, probably, I think we follow, to answer your question directly, about the 80-20 rule. So where 80% of our work, I think, is about in cloud, and 20% of it is in firmware. And I think that's one of the great strengths of the AWS offering, is that not everyone has to be a firmware expert in order to take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good to hear. So coming to the IoT design goals in general, there are a lot of moving parts, considering IoT is not just you put some code on the cloud and build all this connectivity with different services and probably get started. Like, you have to think about the real hardware. So as you said, like working with the chip manufacturers, working on the provisioning, ensuring how you can upgrade them over the air, how to ensure, like, do the command control and telemetry and whatnot. So tell us a little bit about these capabilities. Like, did you think of building this on your own, or you were like looking for some built-in native capabilities? What was your thought process?
Yep, absolutely. So, it is a lot, right? Even everything you have represented up there on the slide, right, is a immense amount of work to try and do by yourself, for, I would think, and pull off correctly for anyone, let alone a team our size. So we certainly knew that we were not going to build everything from the start, but I'm not sure we had a good understanding of, where on that spectrum between buy it all and build it all we were gonna fall, right? Because certainly there's an area of defensibility that we're interested in as a startup, from a technical perspective, but we also can't risk a national launch with a marquee brand, right? So
Exactly.
we backed into some architectural design goals around, hey, we have to get our devices online, right? We have to be able, which is, provisioning there. We have to be able to handle state management. There's no getting around that. Obviously, it's not enough to just be connected to the internet. You have to be able to send information across the internet. And for us specifically, real-time water levels, those types of things are things that we care about and make the garden more than just something you sort of set in your yard and forget, right? So we're very, very interested in that. Security, of course, is always top of mind. And then major for us is extensibility of clients, right? I think, when we talk about startup land and growth of teams and managing, the build out and rollout of additional products in the future, all these things, to your point about, Greengrass 2.0, right? I mean, which I'm so excited about. By the way, seems very, very, very cool. I'm excited to get my hands on it and start building with it. We want everything to be connected. It's just better for customers when everything is connected, and when you meet the customer where they are, right? And that could be, web, mobile, that could be, lights on the device, that could be, and those needs sort of change over time. So extensibility, right? This sort of open for extensibility, but sort of closed for, modification principles that we all follow as software engineers. That was a real big goal for us there, so that as our market matures, right? The idea of our startup is to not only capitalize on markets, but to expand and define the markets that we're in. A lot of learning goes along with that. So we don't know everything up front. We needed to go with an offering that allowed us to be really nimble in adapting to market changes. And then the last bucket you'll see there is customer support. We just like you on AWS, we're customer obsessed, right? And what that means is really understanding and having not only customers push data to us, but really get in there, engaging and having bi-directional conversations with users, obviously helping them out with any issues, but also doing a lot of work to encourage feedback. Feedback is the life of every business, and be it big or small. And so we really thought about that from the very beginning.
That's awesome. And I think in today's world, where of course there is so much competition, but there is also this immense expectation from the customers to have a great experience. So and the technology under the hood essentially makes life probably a little bit easier, and will get better and better with time. So with that, probably is a good segue to going a little bit deeper into how the rubber meets the road, right? So did you guys start with like AWS IoT services, or like the managed services, or you initially thought of like, hey, probably let us run our own MQTT broker and see how we go from there? Like, what was the thought process around that?
Yeah, so great question. Again, build versus buy, important for every company. For us, the approach that we took, given the timeline, once we really start getting into AWS services, was basically, if AWS does it, we don't. Right, was what we internally adopted, right? It doesn't mean that's the right strategy for everybody. It turned out to be a great strategy for us. And, it allowed us to focus on, tying the things together that were very important to launch with our marquee customers. But, more than that, as CTO of a small team, right, it sort of allows me to direct my resources a little bit, off of plumbing, off of things that, as CTO, right, like I don't want to be up at night wondering whether or not an MQTT message is going to get delivered, or if that device is going to get provisioned. So we looked across all the services using our design constraints, and we really found one-to-one matches, right? As you can see here, right, we've got, FreeRTOS running on our devices that's linked to IoT Core, and so provisioning is happening. Device Shadow is an incredibly useful service, right? As an opinionated take on MQTT communication, we found it to be extremely well thought out. Probably better than we could have done had we gone and built it ourselves, obviously. And security, of course, top of mind. Always happy to deep dive on that. And then, to your point, right, we want to make sure we're listening to our customers. We want to build version 2.0, version 3.0, version 4.0 without a rock solid OTA framework or just a jobs framework in general. That was going to be very difficult for us. So I think that, we, especially if you come from a software as a service world, you might assume that these sort of things, right, are, not achievable, right, for your first version, right? I certainly was like, well, we'll get the firmware out, right? Then we'll integrate. I'm sure we'll figure out. But to come to AWS and just be able to write a job, apply the firmware, right? Give that power to those folks in the cloud to issue, trigger, write business logic around it was wonderful there. So, MQTT underneath the scenes, again, happy to talk detail about it. And one I really want to highlight here for us that we started using right around launch is Fleet Hub. And it might be sort of a less known, service to everybody, but, our CX professionals are really interested in providing that, above board customer service experience. And Fleet Hub is amazing because it allows, all the work we've done in the engineering front to, surface attributes through the device shadow, surface useful jobs through the jobs framework, diagnose connectivity issues. It provides a console to our agents, which allows them to very quickly resolve customer issues. Spoke to some of the items you spoke to earlier in your talk.
Yeah. And I still remember the first day when we talked about Fleet Hub and you were super excited. Hey, this is awesome. Let's get this. And we got you whitelisted to the beta. So
yes, you did.
Amazing.
Again, it's as a CTO of a small team, right? It's another, it may not seem like that much, but being able to leverage Fleet Hub as opposed to writing an in-depth admin console for everything that we need to do, that right there allows us to really maintain focus on, on building features that have direct customer value.
Yeah, and we also really appreciate that, even with a small team and so many things to do, you guys take this opportunity to test it out and share your invaluable feedbacks, which our product team eventually implements onto the product, and we finally go live with us. So I think it's a win-win for both of us.
Absolutely.
So with that, I think it's high time to share a glimpse of how this magic garden looks like. We can see one behind you, but it would be kind of interesting to see how this magic happens. What does the underlying bare metal looks like? Would you be able to give us some kind of glimpse to that? Yeah,
sure. Absolutely. I'd be happy to.
Cool. So our lovely audience are probably, waiting for that. So show us what you got.
So here is the small garden. This is the Eden small garden, as you can see. And this is a internet connected, as we've been talking about, small garden that has a number of sensors you can see there, as well as all custom hardware here being, bent aluminum. We got LEDs. Everybody loves the seed pods, so I'll show them here. You just put your plants in there and put it down, and everything starts growing. So what everyone is probably interested in is what is in the side here. And, this little part right here is where our smarts are. So what you'd look at, if I pulled this away, and I can give you a little glimpse in a second here, is our microprocessor sits right in there. And you will see that our proprietary water sensor links to it right through here. Now, we are on a microcontroller, and one of the main forcing functions for that is really our form factor, right? This is a design award-winning form factor, and so we are in service to the beauty of nature here, being shortcast by the design with the support of the technology. The technology is meant to be more ambient, fade away, not necessarily be the center of attention here. So let me set that down, and you can take a look. This is what the guts look like. This is the internal components, and so you'll notice the microprocessor here, and it actually kind of sits. If we look right here, it sits just like this with the power out. LED, and then light bar connection and other sensor connections right here.
Yeah, so this is incredible, like the power that you have punched into that small segment over there, and you have so many different sensors. So if I may ask, like, is it like a ESP32? Like, what kind of hardware have you considered?
Yes, we went with the ESP32.
Okay, that's awesome. So I think with that, now let's dive a little bit deeper on the architecture as well, and maybe focusing on the edge, because that's where our lovely audience are likely be waiting to hear a lot more. So I know, like, when you started working on this solution, you initially considered like the community version of FreeRTOS, and it comes out of the box with Espressif, and you are considering migrating to more of the managed version of FreeRTOS, which comes with different kind of integration, like the AWS library integrations. Tell us a little more about it. Like, what are the trade-offs? Keep it staying with the community version, or maybe considering the Amazon equipped version of FreeRTOS?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So, you alluded to something that we're really interested in, which is long-term support of the AWS libraries, right? So, whether those libraries come in our case from an embedded C SDK, or they come with the managed version of FreeRTOS, that long-term support is really exciting for us, because we want to be able to ensure that our customers always have the best of breed in their small gardens. To compare and contrast for us, I think that they are very similar. We really love the flexibility that AWS gives us in this domain to really pick what's best for us, right? We have some really interesting things in our design that we think set us apart and give a extremely positive user experience. One of those is that we're HomeKit compatible, right? And so we've really leveraged a lot of great things from our chip manufacturer, who is fantastic, that allowed us to get to market, and maintain really quite easy pairing experience, through HomeKit, compared to the days when it used to be difficult, right? I mean, just a simple scan, boop, of a QR code, and you're online. That dramatically helps us as a business, and so we're constantly exploring new technologies, always interested in using best of breed. Yeah,
and that makes sense, right? That's what we always recommend to our customers, that always work backwards from your use cases. Like, we have this extensive ecosystem of partners who we closely work with, like Espressif and Microchip and NXP, and they spend so much time and cycles in ensuring that all the solutions that they are building, all this hardware and other chips and security elements and whatnot, are compatible and well qualified with the AWS ecosystem as well. So that's great to know that. Yeah.
Absolutely, and we've just to back that up, we found that to be absolutely true, right? And I mean, I think one of the main selling points, if we've got folks listening that are looking at IDF, is really that build environment, right? Is great, right? There's a lot of benefits to again, just looking what's best for you, your use case, and moving forward.
Exactly. And maybe like there will be a day where all the goodies from both the side comes together. Like, we are working very closely to ensure that you get the benefits of all these integrations with Device Defender and Device Shadow and all the cellular libraries, and maybe Alexa voice integration out of the box using the the FreeRTOS that Amazon is heavily invested on, and also like all the cool stuff like HomeKit and other features that is not supported yet by Amazon FreeRTOS, and you can just plug and play irrespective of the version you choose. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and to play off that, what I would say is, the bar for consumer IoT products is extremely high for a small startup to try and enter, right? Although I'm extremely proud of everything we've done, right? It is not to be taken lightly how difficult it is. I could do a whole other session about all the things that didn't go well, right? Didn't go as expected, and for a consumer IT product right now, again, you want to give customers the best experience they possibly can have, even with these limited resources. And that's, I think, where everybody in the IoT ecosystem working so closely together has made it easier on us startup folks, right? 2-3 years ago, I don't want to say we couldn't, but it would have been a lot harder to deliver, an experience to users that I think rivals some of the best companies out there.
Yeah. And that's where I think, the golden words from our CEO, Andy Jassy, and Amazon CEO as well, going to be that there is no compression algorithm for experience. And we had been working with all these customers and learning, and we're happy to share this, right, with all the new companies and the startups so that they can take advantage of all the experience that we got. But I think if I hear you right, to summarize, if you have like really constrained timelines and you may not have a lot of experience with IoT, maybe like just start with the FreeRTOS version, which comes with all the AWS integrations, and that makes your life much easier. Is that right?
Of course, 100%, absolutely, Neil.
Okay, cool. So now, what else on the edge? Like any other features that you want to highlight where you probably had to go through a lot of pain, and then finally we got it resolved for you somehow? Anything that comes to your mind that you want to share?
I mean, I will say, what I think is interesting about us from an IoT edge perspective is really our ability to focus on, again, the things that are custom and unique to our use case, which for us, a lot resolves around our water sensor. And our water sensor, is unique in that, it's not simply just like a floating bobber in the water, kind of telling. It's doing some cooler stuff in there. And, I think for us, if we had to spend a significant amount more time during this process on not necessarily the basics, but those things on the design constraint side, we wouldn't have been able to perfect that technology, and that was something that we were really, really, really excited about. And so I would encourage any other startups in that vein to really take a look at everything that AWS IoT is offering and build on it, because we and our investors want us spending all the time that we can possibly spend on those things that are unique and exciting.
Exactly, and that matters to your business rather than the overhead of building features and stuff, which is probably pretty common. Like everyone does that, and that's not where differentiation is. Right?
Yeah, right. It's really hard for me to get an investor or a board member excited by the fact that device provisioning works, right? I'm excited by it because the internals of that are really hard, right? And all the security around it and stuff. But for sure, there's an aspect here that's table stakes. If not our board and investors, right, then just our customers. I would assume our customers are very excited by the fact that it gets on the internet, but again, maybe not as excited as I am. Probably a little bit more excited when their plans start to just spring out for the first day.
Yeah. Cool. And on the right side of the architecture, what I'm also fascinated to see, how seamlessly you have integrated the edge with this hardware running FreeRTOS to take advantage of all the Lambda functions, the serverless, and the DynamoDBs and API gateways. So how was that? The whole CICD integration, how did you do it? Did you use CloudFormation? What kind of technologies that you use to automate this whole scenario for scale?
Yeah, absolutely. So we, as I mentioned before, if AWS does it, we adopt it. And so, for us, CICD specifically, right? We went all in, right? We are on code commit, right? We have CloudFormation for our infrastructure. We are using Chalice for our APIs, which is, just shout out to the Chalice team. It probably makes me really old. I don't know, but they are fantastic. I need to find a better way to show them how excited I am than raised hands. Yeah, right. It looks like I'm running away from something. I don't know. But
Sorry.
they're fantastic, and so we orchestrate everything then through code pipelines. Code build, cloud formation, code deploy. That has been fantastic for us, and what that has all enabled, which I'm excited to share, is that we don't have any EC2 instances running in our entire stack, which was not a primary goal of the system, but like certainly underneath the managed services umbrella was, we only want to pay for anything that is being executed, and we want durability, scalability, right, extensibility. We want all the abilities, right? We're greedy. Every ability you can give us, we want it, and we want it now, and we want it to be easy to use, and I guess that'd be accessibility, right? All the abilities, we want it. And what's been great, because we are serverless across, and AWS IoT Core, allows for, through topic rules, AWS IoT events, all these types of things to really trigger a Lambda wherever you want it. It allowed us to stay serverless through our entire architecture, which is something that we're extremely proud of, because it's not always easy to do that. And when you want to scale devices up quickly, you also want the rest of the infrastructure to scale up quickly. So I'm confident we can keep up with sales.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of like the serverless solution and the managed services. As you said, like pay as you go, do not take the heavy lifting of managing the underlying infrastructure. Let AWS do it and let us focus on the business. So great. So very cool, Aaron. I know we want to be respectful of your time, and we have learned a lot. So really appreciate you sharing all these insights with us. So one last thing, like, what are you hoping to do from here? Like, I'm super excited. What would be your next generation innovation stuff that you guys will be invested on? So anything else you want to share with our lovely audience here?
Yeah, sure. Our goal, as I mentioned, is really to bring nature indoors for our customers, and what that means is increasing their connectedness to nature, right? So we want to take advantage. We don't necessarily, we aren't trying to tell you that you're going to feed your family with the basil that is growing behind me or anything like that. What we're saying is, hey, for all human history, we've been connected to nature, and let's work hard to bring those connections to where you are indoors. And so we're focused on capturing more data that shows highly varied environments, right? We want to understand nuanced patterns and how plants grow in indoor environments, right? And we want to do that because we want to allow better and more personalized recommendations for you into how to take care of your plants inside your home, right? So if we want to allow you to grow where you want, and we want to let you grow what you want, and what that means is pretty personalized information that says, hey, look, like if I want to grow, the craziest flower out there is called the corpse flower. It's crazy. I know AWS has one in the spheres. So that's a Google experiment. But like, hey man, like the finished goal state of all this is like, Neil, if you want to go spend, I don't know how much money a corpse flower is, but I'm assuming they're very expensive. And you want to grow that in your living room, then like we want to be there to offer you personalized guidance on how to take care of that investment for you. An ideal scenario for us, right, is really simulating that master gardener in your living room. And you can imagine they're sitting there staring at your basil or your corpse flower all day, every day, right? And whenever anything needs to happen for it, they're just, tap, tap, tap. Hey, like, needs a little water here, right? That's the type of thing that we're really excited to bring to our customers over time.
Maybe we should start talking about robotics as well, but I can't wait to work with you on your vision and, the next innovative products that you are going to work. So with that, I'm sure our lovely audience will have some questions for you as well. We'll see if it is around chorus or something else, but let's get there. So
sounds great. Thank you so much.
Sure, thanks, Aaron. So now it's a great time for you guys to ask any questions you have for Aaron or myself. Now you know how you can know the state of everything that you want to build, and you can reason on top of the data, and you can build the next generation consumer product. We'd love to hear from you. Like, what problems would you solve? Thank you, Aaron. It was incredible to get this opportunity again to host you. I really appreciate all your time, and I'm sure our lovely audience also loved the way they could interact with all of us. And hopefully we could answer some of the questions they had. And I can't wait to bring you again, maybe next time, where we can discuss about the robotics or something else that we started chatting about. So thank you. Thanks for joining us today, Aaron.
Of course, my pleasure.
Cool. And for the rest of our audience, stay safe, take care, and we'll see you soon. Have a good one.